Good day. My name is Tim Shelpatty. I'm the president of Veterans Office Solutions. Remember, our slogan is that we're a hand up for veterans, not a handout. Today's topic is, during COVID, the real heroes are the first responders. Our guest today is J.Joe Martinez. Mr. Martinez has extensive experience with memorials. He was instrumental in developing the Veterans Park here in Las Cruces, New Mexico. He plays a very important role in the Baton Memorial Death March, which occurs annually here in Las Cruces, New Mexico. And he is developing a first responders memorial park. Mr. Martinez is a farmer's agent here in Las Cruces, New Mexico. His number is area code 575-222-4336. My family has all our insurance needs with Mr. Martinez, and he could certainly help you as well. Mr. Martinez, good day to you.
Well, good day to you, sir. It's always a pleasure.
And Mr. Martinez, what is the First Responders Memorial Park in Las Cruces, New Mexico?
Well, it's a culmination of several years' worth of planning and putting together, if you will. It started off a couple of years ago. I was on a board with the local sheriff's department, and there was some conversation about we needed some kind of a memorial to honor our first responders. And being that I had already done a couple of memorials here in town, I volunteered and told them that I would be happy if they would like for me to put something together that I could give them some numbers and also some design drawings of what it could look like potentially.
And Mr. Martinez, what is the purpose to do memorial parks?
Well, if you're asking me specifically why I do them, I think the answer is maybe something a little bit personal in that, you know, none of us, we all hope to, when we aspire to greatness. I mean, that's our nature. That's the American way. We all want to leave something behind. And I think that knowing that my life is like everybody else's, I'm not in law enforcement. I was not able to serve in the military for family reasons. And so I look for ways to give back since I was not able to do some of the things in life that other people get to do. So when we did the Baton Memorial, my two uncles were survivors of the Baton Death March, so it seemed like the right thing to do something to immortalize the 1,800 New Mexicans that were prisoners of war and captured or force-marched about 75 miles in the Death March in the Philippines. So that's basically the emotion and the reason for that. Vietnam, on the other side, the other memorial that my wife and I have done, that was my era. That would have been the time that I should have served or I would have served. But unfortunately, Uncle Sam said, you're the sole support at home of your mother and your younger sister, and we're classifying you like a married man with a child. So you do what you're told, and you respect the law, and you do what you have to do. So basically, it's been working.
And Mr. Martinez, can you explain to our viewership what is the present status of the First Responders Memorial Park here in Las Cruces?
Well, I made a presentation to that committee within 90 days of first volunteering to do the project. And I had some sketches, and by no means am I an artist. I mean, it's mostly stick figures and little mounds of whatever. But it was enough to be able to put the point across that the concept is that generally when you think of a first responder, you think about police and fire. That expands dramatically when you start thinking of 9/11 or some of these other issues that we have, or even now COVID, what's happening now has added new credence to everybody that now is called a first responder. And factually, it's my understanding that in 9/11, when the towers came down, they had so many different agencies that qualified for that term, first responders, that it was much easier to reference all of those men and women that were working on saving and helping as first responders. Otherwise, they would have had to have used each individual agency name, and sometimes that could be very convoluted. But nonetheless, it's a process that first responders are very much in the limelight today with COVID. And they represent the EMTs, they represent the 9/11 operators, they represent the ER doctors and the ER nurses, not to mention the canine groups that are helping to rescue. And then you talk about the police and the fire and the state police, the Border Patrol, all of those agencies that work in synergy. Anytime there's anything that goes on, I mean, the city of Las Cruces doesn't have helicopters. They make a quick call and that Border Patrol helicopter is here. Or they make a quick call and that state police helicopter is here. They work in consort to be able to make things happen for the good of the people.
And when did the term first responders evolve?
Well, I believe, as I stated a minute ago, that I think it came strictly from 9/11 because of the multi-agencies that were involved in the process of the rescues and all of those things. Otherwise, they would have had to list them separately. So this way, I mean, they had the harbor police up there, they had the fire department, they had the rescue people, they had the National Guard, they had as many people that they could muster to help take care of the issues. And so they lumped them all into one hat and called them first responders.
And how do you select whom should be honored?
Well, you know, sometimes things just evolve. And I certainly am not the only person in Las Cruces or anywhere in the country that wouldn't like to do something to honor. You know, I have a farmer's insurance agency, and we look for ways to help. We have masks that we could help people with. We have a variety of things that we have at our disposal to be able to help in those instances. So it's, you know, everybody's looking to do something. They're buying little meals and taking them to the ER people at the hospital, or they're finding the police officers of the sheriff's department that are working 24/7 and trying to do things for them to show that we support you and we encourage you to continue doing the job that you're doing, and thank you for that.
And Mr. Martinez, how do you select the committee members for the First Responders Memorial Park?
You know, that's probably the easiest part of it, especially having this be the third one we've done, because they know that we succeed in these things that we endeavor to do. And so everybody wants to be part of a successful plan. Fact is, I end up having to turn away people and say, we've got that covered. Thank you so much. Please, if you want to help, donate some money, or help us this way or that way. But ideally, when I go and I look to put a committee together, the first thing I do is to look to see what pockets of information do I need. When we did the Vietnam Memorial, we took all the different branches of the military. And so we got a retired military person from the Army, one from the Air Force, and one from each one of the branches, and they were assigned the duty to take care of the marble plaque that is 3 foot wide, 6 foot tall for each branch of the service. They were in charge of making that. The only input that I put in is that each one had an emblem on the top that said what branch of the service it was. But the information and the photos that were laser etched into that marble came from those individual captains, if you will, of those committees. And we'll be doing the same thing. The situation works very well. It brings in people that are in the know. I certainly don't have all the information to be able to say what each one of those agencies do. So it's an 8-sided octagon, the base of the memorial, and it will have 8 different branches around. It'll have, well, I'm just going to read them off to you just real quick. There'll be the Las Cruces Police Department representing all PDs, the Doñana County Sheriff's Office, the Las Cruces Fire Department, the State Police, the Border Patrol, the 911 personnel, the 911 personnel, and the EMTs, and the ER doctors and nurses. And then there'll be a special side for the canine critters that go in there and rescue and point out people that are buried or people that are not able to get out themselves. So we'll have 8 sides and each one of those agencies represented.
Mr. Martinez, can you explain for our viewership where this park will be situated in Las Cruces, New Mexico?
Well, with your permission, let me take it just a step back and say that I really, when I designed it, my wife and I sat down and came up with the stick figures to come up with the idea. We originally planned, and we presented to City Council, the planning session, that we wanted to put it in Johnson Park, which is directly across the street from the police department and the fire department, the 2 main offices for the city. I mean, certainly they have branches all over town, but these are the main, this is where the chiefs live. And when we presented that, I mean, Johnson Park is a large park in front of City Hall and Brannigan Library, and everybody was very receptive to it. They loved it, loved the idea, but then it was brought to our attention that an unwritten regulation or law or whatever you want to call it, the council had made a decision that they did not want to have any more memorials in Johnson Park. There are 2 or 3 in there now, closer to Main Street than on the side where we would be. But they determined that we needed to try to save as much green space as we could possibly do at Johnson Park. So I was a little disappointed because I thought that would be a perfect place for police and fire. And then, of course, they suggested that I meet with the Art Board, which is a committee of artists and people in the know about those things, representing the people of the city of Las Cruces, and they pass judgment on any memorial or any art and where it's placed in the city and make recommendations. So, of course, you get to where you think you're smarter than everybody else, and I thought my idea was best. But I went and visited with this group of people, and they were very, very nice and very understanding and gave me some very, very good recommendations. And from that, we looked at several different other applications or locations, and nothing really fit, nothing really clicked. And I don't know, maybe I'm stupid, but it's got to click for me. It's got to click for me because in my simplistic idea, if it clicks for me, it's going to click for the multitudes because I'm just an average Joe, and that's what we gear to. We want to pat the people on the back that really need the pat. So anyway, they came up with an idea, and I've got a few photographs here that I will kind of pass over here, and I think they should be showing up on the screen in a minute, if they're not already. Okay, that one is an aerial view, and of course a lot of people are going to go, oh God, because it's on Valley Drive. I mean, Valley Drive is kind of the other end of town, and it's kind of an area of town that has been kind of, well, maybe it's been overlooked for some things over the years. But the nice thing about it is that there is currently on the location, and if you look, I think on the lower lower right-hand corner, you will see a building that is Old Firehouse number 3. That thing is probably older than me, which makes it pretty old, but it's still an operating firehouse. And it has the old look. It looks like an old Pueblo building with the vigas sticking out, and it's very historical. So if you look directly to the middle of the page of the photograph, you'll see there's a baseball diamond there, and that is a single baseball field all by itself, and they play softball there occasionally. Anyway, so if you look at that scenario, directly to the bottom of the page is a side street, and you'll see a parking area, and then you'll see the firehouse, and then directly to the south, or in the photograph, let's say up from the old firehouse, is a large vacant area. Now, the next aerial photograph we'll show you is essentially the same one, a little closer in, but it shows some changes. Let's see if we got the next one coming up. There it is, right there. Okay, so if you look at that one, you see the baseball diamond is still there. But if you look, let me get my bearings, if you look to the bottom of the screen, you'll see there are some overlays over the old building, and then right towards the top of the page from the old firehouse, you will see the drawings and the overlay of the latest and greatest state-of-the-art firehouse for the city of Las Cruces. Money's been appropriated with the GO bond issues. They're doing the final drawings for the construction of it. The city is well underway in making this thing happen. So when I approached them, or they approached me, they said, now here we are, we have a park that has one baseball field, an old firehouse, and a new firehouse coming. Well, I thought, well, you know, I hate to be across town, everything else, the growth is up this direction. But then, you know, as the city can do when they want to, they dangled the carrot. And the carrot was, you see that baseball field? How would you like to have that memorial of yours dead center on pitcher's mound? Straight up. I mean, of course, that got my eyes open a little bit, and the sparkle. And they said, and then, you know, we're talking about putting a road in behind the two fire stations so that when the trucks come in, they can come in the back and drive into the parking slots instead of having to back in. And they said we could continue that around that whole baseball field and make a circle so that people coming in could drive through and would have parking in the back areas, and they could drive through and circumnavigate, if you will, the memorial.
And Mr. Martinez, can you explain to our viewership when you anticipate this memorial park will be completed?
Well, that's had to change. And the reason it's had to change, of course, is many things, but we were anticipating having the unveiling and the whole process done by the 20th anniversary of 9/11, which is September next year. And with COVID and all of this going on, it just doesn't seem plausible that that will happen. But something else that has happened.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for that explanation. We will take a momentary break. Please stay tuned, and we will continue with this discussion. Thank you.
If we want to improve America's healthcare system, let's start by improving the health of Americans. Despite the best doctors, hospitals, and medical advancements, Americans are not as healthy as they should be. We spend too much on treatment and not enough on wellness and prevention. We need a system based on primary care. When patients have a medical home and a long-term relationship with a doctor, the result is a longer, healthier life and reduced medical costs for everyone. Let's make America a place where health is primary.
They've stormed beaches and freed countries. They've raised our flag and our hope. They've been called leathernecks. They've been called devil dogs. But above all, they're called Marines.
Thank you for staying with us again. My name is Tim Shalpati. I'm the president of Veterans Office Solutions. The topic for this episode is, during COVID, the real heroes, our first responders. Our guest is J.Joe Martinez. Mr. Martinez, would you please continue where you left off?
Well, basically we were discussing the changes in the park and what they were going to do. They also hung another carrot over me and they said, if you like this and this will work for you, they said we can take this whole area and rename it. Right now it's called Brannigan Park, but we already have Brannigan Cultural Center, we already have Brannigan Library, and that's all in one concentrated area. This is kind of the stepchild that's out here on Valley Drive, Brannigan Park. And you see it's not much of a park, it's a ball field. So, well, a ballpark, I guess. Anyway, so what they said is that they would be more than happy to entertain and to put together a process to be able to change the name of this park to the First Responders Memorial Park. Now, for me, that did a lot, because I immediately envisioned, I mean, I have grandkids in school here, and I have a daughter-in-law that's a teacher, and a bunch of her friends are teachers, and we visit and talk, and I know how they do their little road trips, if you will. They pack up those kids and they bring their little sack lunches, and they take them to a location and let them go out and see the world, see what the world is all about. So immediately my crazy mind envisioned a little school bus coming up with maybe a whole group of 5th or 6th graders, old enough to understand but young enough to be entertained, and take that road that they're going to build for the fire trucks and park over on the backside and unload those youngsters out and let them do a complete walk around of that memorial with somebody, maybe somebody from the city or maybe a representative from each one of those agencies, explaining to those children the meaning of this memorial and what it stands for, and the depiction of rescuing a child, and that the dog is sitting there watching the fireman to make certain that he's taking care of that child, and have them understand exactly what that means. And when they see a fire truck going down the road, or a police officer going down the road, or any of those agencies represented, they understand, and they know that they're their friends, and they're taking care of people.
And Mr. Martinez, will this park honor deceased first responders?
Oh, absolutely.
In what respect, sir?
Well, we'll get into the actual location. I mean, the way it's going to be built, but there will be memorial bricks, and in front of each section that is honoring a particular branch, there will be a section of memorial bricks that will have the name, the date of last call, and that's what law enforcement calls their time of death, so to speak. And it will say that on a brick. It'll have their name, their rank, and because it's in front of the LCPD's plaque, it'll indicate LCPD. Now, you don't have to have been in any one of the local agencies. If you have been involved in any of these agencies, anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world, you can buy a brick to honor your loved one, or you can buy it for yourself, whatever.
So this park will honor deceased first responders from other areas other than Las Cruces, New Mexico.
This is not just a Las Cruces memorial. We have first responders everywhere. And it would be, well, it's just like the Baton Memorial. We feature our 1,800 New Mexicans, but there were 70,000 that were in that death march, 20,000 Americans. There's no way that I could alienate the other 18,000 that weren't from New Mexico that suffered the same way. So we will do the same with this.
And for those who died at 9/11, will they be honored as well?
They will be honored in a general plaque, but as far as having their names listed, unless somebody buys a brick in their honor, they won't have any personal designation. They will be there on a 9/11 presentation. a bench or something.
And Mr. Martinez, reverting back to the committee, can you explain further how are the members selected and are there subcommittees?
Yeah, that they're selected by virtue of what's needed for each individual. Maybe I got a little off on that earlier and didn't really explain it, but if you're the Las Cruces Police Department, we will have a designated person who is on the LCPD as a member of the committee to be able to structure that panel with proper information instead of guesses. And anything that is on there that is laser etched, I mean, it's there forever, and we don't want to take a chance on having somebody come back and say that wasn't correct. So each panel, there'll be somebody from the fire department, somebody from the border patrol, somebody from the state police, somebody from the fire department. Each one of those agencies will have a representative, and if they feel that they want to have a subcommittee within their system and say, hey, can you help me? I'm in charge of doing this for the committee, but can you help me get all the names of the deceased that have happened since we became a state, or since we were, what do they call it when you're first recorded as a city? You know, when you can go all the way back to Billy the Kid, Pat Garrett. You know, those were law enforcement. Pat was, of course, first sheriff, one of the sheriffs from here, so he should be recognized in a brick.
Thank you for that excellent explanation, Mr. Martinez. And we just want to let our viewership know that if you would like more information, please call J.Joe Martinez Farmers Insurance Agency at 615 North Solano Drive, Las Cruces, New Mexico, 88005. His phone number is area code 575-222-4336, and just ask for J.Joe Martinez. He'll be more than happy to discuss this project with you. If you would like to send tax-free contributions, please send them to Community Foundation of Southern New Mexico, 2600 El Paseo Drive, Las Cruces, New Mexico. The zip code is 88001. And we would again just like to remind you that if you would like to have a VOS center in your state, please contact your United States senators, your House of Representative members, and ask them to call us. We're at your service. We're here to serve veterans. Again, our slogan is, we are the helping hand. We're the hand up, not the hand out. Thank you for your viewership. Until then, we say good day.